As we see on our desk here, these semiconductor chips can be as small as a fingernail, but we know that these tiny devices have absolutely enormous impact across the economy and our society. And certainly a clear example is the auto industry, something I'm very close to as a senator representing the great state of Michigan. And I know that before the 1970s, cars simply didn't have any chips, and very few then started having a handful of chips to deal with just kind of the engine functions and make that work a little smoother. And then in a few years later, cars relied on chips for just about everything, from safety devices to things like power windows. Instead of that crank there, it's a chip that allows us to do that. They've basically become ubiquitous, and some cars or vehicles now have over 1,000 chips in them. And in light of this trend, it's no surprise that the pandemic contributed to a global chip shortage. And when that happened, it hurt auto production and auto workers particularly hard. As we look to the future, chips are going to play an even more important role in mobility as they are essential, as I think was discussed earlier, for both electric vehicles as well as autonomous vehicles, which represents the future for the auto industry. That's why I'm excited to chair a hearing in Detroit this coming Monday, and we're going to examine the role of semiconductors in the future of automotive innovation. And I certainly believe it's essential that we make our semiconductor supply chains as resilient as possible, not just efficient, but highly resilient. And I think my state of Michigan is particularly well positioned to lead this effort. Not only will this grow jobs and economic activity in the semiconductor industry, it will also strengthen the entire economy, especially when it comes to not just cars, but all products that use these chips. So, Mr. Mehrotra, as you know, and as you've mentioned, cars are becoming increasingly electric and autonomous, and Michigan is certainly leading the way in the manufacture of these vehicles. But automakers in Michigan are also going to require more and sophisticated semiconductor chips as we move forward, not just the legacy chips we have now, particularly when it comes to memory and to storage. Indeed, you described vehicles earlier as a future data center on wheels, which is basically clearly what they are now and will increasingly be. This is just one reason why I expect that Michigan is going to be a significant player. We're a major manufacturing state, home to many other industries that see their products more integrated with chips, from medical devices to defense applications. Michigan's future with the semiconductor industry is also rooted in world-class universities and training programs which prepare workers for these roles, as was discussed earlier, from R&D to making cutting-edge products. Simply put, another plug for my state, Michigan knows how to make things, so it's no surprise we're seeing a major influx of investment around semiconductor technologies, like KLA operating its second headquarters in Ann Arbor, and without a doubt in my mind, funding for the CHIPS Act will be critical for growing this forward. So my question for you is, Mr. Mehrotra, can you discuss how Micron's memory and storage technologies will play a role in electric and autonomous cars of the future, as well as all of the other products we make in our manufacturing state?
Senator Peters, thank you for your question and giving me the opportunity to highlight here that in semiconductor memory and storage, Micron has globally #1 market share. So we have been strong partners to supplying to the automotive industry globally and strong partners to the US auto manufacturers. And during the pandemic, with various semiconductor supply chain shortages, we worked closely with automakers and made sure, pleased to say, that our memory and storage solutions did not cause any line down situations, and we continued to be a strong provider of our solutions to them and will continue to maintain our #1 market share leadership in this very important and fast-growing segment for the semiconductor industry. And we have earned this #1 market share based on the high quality that Micron is focused on delivering to this industry, but also high quality that is focused on delivering solutions, whether in data center or intelligent edge or multitude of user devices that are using more and more memory and storage. You're absolutely right to point out that I often say that autonomous vehicles are becoming data center on wheels. Today, they have a roadmap that will be using more than $750 of semiconductor memory and storage content in these vehicles, more than 15 times higher than the standard vehicles of the past. So this is a tremendous opportunity, and Micron's focus on leading-edge technology is important. We are continuing to work with automakers to help them transition to the newer technology nodes faster, because that increases the availability of memory supply, and in general, moving faster to leading-edge nodes help increase the availability of all semiconductors and avoid the kind of shortages and situations that have occurred in the past. So this is an important initiative. The partnership with the auto industry is important. And of course, making investments here in the US with the support of not only just the CHIPS Act, but also with the investment tax credits is critically important. And Micron is looking forward to having these legislations get across the finish line so that with a sense of urgency, we can begin to play catch up in terms of bringing leading edge memory manufacturing onshore and play catch up with Asia, which has been investing for last 20 years plus heavily with the government support in bringing their semiconductor manufacturing onshore.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that answer. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator